Joseph Addison, English essayist and playwright. And when we think of Joseph Addison, we should think of the Kit Kat Club. So the members, we have William Congreve, Sir John Vanbrugh. Both were Restoration playwrights. Anyone? When you think of William Congreve, which play comes to your mind? Or after this class, what you have to do? Read about Restoration playwrights. Because this age, what we are going to discuss, the essays belong to Restoration age and Neoclassical age. Is the way of the world. When we think of William Congreve, the play we should remember is the way of the world. What you can do, maybe after the class, read the summary of that play. Then we have Sir Vanbrugh, again Restoration playwright. Then we have the essayist, Joseph Addison, Richard Steele. Then politicians, Sir Robert Walpole, Samuel Garth. Then some lords, Lord Halifax and Lord Somers. This club is a society of Whigs. In those days, there were two parties, major political parties, especially during the reign of Charles II. Number one, Whig. Number two, Tories. Whigs and Tories, like DMK and ADMK. We have Whigs and Tories. Whigs, when you say Whigs, it's a nickname, a derogatory nickname. The opposite party called this party Whigs. Why? Because the word Whig, W-H-I-G, refers to horse robbers. The word is from Scotland. There were Scottish people who are known for, stealing horses or rearing horses. When they want the horse to move forward, they say or they cry Wigham, W-H-I-G-G-A-M, Wigham. They cry Wigham, when they strut the horse. And from that word, we get the name of this party, Whig. So Wigham becomes Whig, simply means horse robbers. On the other hand, we have Tories, another party, political party. The Whigs called that party Tory, T-O-R-Y or T-O-R-I-E-S, Tories. The word Tory comes from Irish, which means simply robbers. So both called themselves robbers. So Whigs, horse robbers, Tories, robbers. Whigs, in modern times, you can say liberals, liberal party. What is a liberal party? Which says, okay, there should be a ruler, it could be a king, but the king should rule, according to the wishes of the people. So kind of a democratic party, liberals or Whigs. On the other hand, we have Tories. Tories are conservatives. Conservative in the sense they believe in divine right of the king. They support the king. So these were the parties, Whigs and Tories. So we should remember Addison and Steele supported Whigs, or they belong to that party called Whigs. And the members of this party met at the Kit Kat Club. And why this club? Kit Kat Club. The word Kit Kat has two meanings. Number one, it might refer to the owner of the tavern. Now it's a kind of a shop where you go and eat. Kit Kat, we have Christopher Cat, who was the owner of this club. When you say Christopher, the nickname of Christopher is Kit, K-I-T. I hope you also remember Christopher Marlowe, the Elizabethan playwright, was also called Kit, K-I-T, because Christopher Marlowe was called Kit. And yesterday we also looked at a novel, biographical novel based on Christopher Marlowe's life, The Dead Man at Deptford. Anyone remembers the name of the novelist who wrote that biographical fiction? The Dead Man at Deptford, based on Christopher Marlowe's life. You can let me know or you can check it out. So when we say Kit Kat Club, either it refers to the owner's name, Kit Kat, Christopher Cat, or in that club or in that tavern, the specialty is a mutton pie. what you see on the screen, it's called a mutton pie. This mutton pie is called 𝐀𝐫𝐥𝐝. So yes, I'm getting answers. Anthony Burgess. So Anthony Burgess is the writer of that novel. Okay. So this could be a question. 𝐀𝐫𝐥𝐝 refers to mutton pies. That is a specialty of the tavern or the name of the owner itself, Christopher Cat. Okay. So with this introduction, let's go to Addison. Addison began his career with a preface. He wrote a preface to the translation, Dryden's translation of Virgil's Georgics. Right? So this is how he introduced himself to the literary world, with a preface. Then he had a quarrel with another major writer, a neoclassical writer, Pope. Pope came up with a translation. He translated Homer's Iliad. Same time, there was another writer, Thomas Tickwell. He also came up with a translation of the same work, the Iliad. Now, Joseph Addison supported this translation, Thomas Tickwell's translation of the Iliad. So because of this, Pope was angry with Addison. So he wrote a work called An Epistle to Dr. Arbuthnot. In this work, he attacked Joseph Addison. He represented Joseph Addison as Atticus. So this could be a question. Atticus. The character Atticus in this work refers to Addison. And this is the attack. Willing to wound and yet afraid to strike. So he says Addison wants to attack everyone, want to satirize everyone, mock everyone, but he is not courageous enough to do that. He is a coward. Willing to wound and yet afraid to strike. So that is the character of Joseph Addison according to Pope. But this may not be true because Pope is known for his anger. Then when we think of Addison, Addison was also a playwright. His famous tragedy, Cato, C-A-T-O. Then we have a comedy, The Drummer or The Haunted House. It's a comedy. And The Spectator. Let's discuss The Spectator, the magazine. It was started on 1st March 1711 and it lasted till 6th December 1712. Every day, it came out every day except Sunday. Sometimes they also ask questions like this because these days we get questions regarding journals and magazines. At least one question, sometimes 2 or 3 questions regarding journals and magazines. And when we think of journals and magazines, it started off with Spectator, right? So 1711, you should remember the year, and it came out daily except Sunday. Totally 555. Number of papers published 555. We are very sure that Addison wrote 274 papers out of 555. Still, we are not so sure, right? Richard Steele could have written 236. Sometimes, this could be the number because I have a solid source. Sometimes some people say 240 or 251. Okay. So when there are confusion or no consensus, generally they don't ask questions regarding this. Okay. So focus on 555, number of papers published under the Spectator. And after a period of time, 6th December 1712, it came to an end, but it was revived by Addison, June 18th to December 20 in 1714. So he wrote the remaining papers, 556 to 635. So 80 additional papers. So 555 originally, then it was revived and issued weekly thrice. So these are the additional 80. And it was started by Steele with Addison and contributors. Look at the contributors. We have already looked at 2 of the contributors. Alexander Pope contributed to the paper. Then he broke up with them and he was angry with Addison. Then Thomas Tickwell, the translator of the Iliad, friend of Addison. Then you should remember only 3 people. So you have Eustace Budgell, Eustace Budgell, Then Ambrose Phillips. We will discuss Ambrose Phillips today. Then Lady M.W. Montego. M-O-N-T-A-G-U. And one of the important characters in the essays under Spectator is Sir Roger de Coverley. When you see de, D-E, comes from French, which means off, O-F, off. When you say off, followed by name of the place, Sir Roger of Coverley. He belongs to that place called Coverley. So he was a country gentleman created by Addison. Addison created this character. And a square. Who is a square? We also have a character called a square in Chaucer's Canterbury Tales. Square is an assistant to a knight, a warrior. So here square is also refers to kind of a person who owns lands in a countryside. So a square of Queen Anne's reign. So Queen Anne was ruling at that time. Queen Anne came to the throne in 1702. Even this could be a question, the reign of Queen Anne. 1702 till which year? You can let me know. So it started off with 1702. It ended, you can let me know. Then he was a baronet of Worcestershire, W-O-R-C-E-S-T-E-R-S-H-I-R-E, the place where he is an important person. Then a member of the Spectator Club. The Spectator Club is an imaginary club. Okay, the Spectator refers to the name of the magazine, which includes a kind of an imaginary group, the Spectator Club. Then we are going to discuss one by one. As the reign 1702, 1714. So that is the reign of Queen Anne. Revati, thank you. Okay, these are some of the other members of the club. So we have Sir Andrew Freeport. The name itself reveals the trade or the profession of that person. Freeport, like free trade now. So free trade, so the person is involved in commerce. And captain, the name itself says Captain Sentry, so an army man. Then we have Will Honeycomb, a person who is known for using words that drip honey or honey dripping words. A kind of a playboy in the town. That is Will Honeycomb. So kind of a playboy known for his fashion and other things. Clergyman, naturally associated with the church, theology and philosophy. Then the law of the student is also called the Templar, because there was a bar called Templar bar. Bar in the sense with associated with lawyers, bar. So learning and taste. So these are the major characters. So we have Sir Roger de Coverley, number 1. Then we have Sir Andrew Freeport, Captain Sentry, Will Honeycomb, clergyman, and law of the student. 6.